subscribers and anyone new to this channel, welcome to Aspie for Attitude. Watching this for the first time, my name is David. I'm from Melbourne, Australia, have speech difficulty, speech impairment, have autism, Asperger's syndrome, and that's why I call myself an Aspie. And now that this fidget spinner has finally slowed down, I'd like to welcome you to yet one of my darkest video uploads to this date is when I tell you a full story from 20 years ago when I went out in the city of Melbourne to an R&B nightclub which is situated in one of the most dangerous night spots in Melbourne. That's all going back on the 13th of July 2001. Since I've uploaded this video on the 13th of July 2021. This is going to be a very long video upload, considering that I may expect to be husky, and since I've got a road out there, like I might have some noisy vehicles and maybe sirens going off. Since it's going to take me more than 20 minutes to get through the whole entire content, so like I'm going to get started though. So like I'll take myself back to 13th of July 2001. So like it was just back in those days, like I was never a rapper or a rhyme lyricist. Even at that time, I didn't know anything about Australian hip hop and haven't yet came up with the name Fubex at all. Considering that I was, for the first time, just having to go and making a few beats and did think of becoming a hip hop artist even at that time. And considering that I was still sustaining my special interest in trains, as this ridiculous phase was actually passing me by. So like, I could show you a picture of that double-decker train, which was a train that I've actually got on the 12th of July 2001, the evening before I even went out in the city that night. Since this is very irrelevant, so like around that time I had an interest in music, which I was focusing more into the R&B rhythm and blues, and I'm talking about commercial American R&B pop of its times back in middle of 2001, which would sound ridiculous for any hip hop heads who followed me through my days as a hip hop artist by the name of Fubex. Now, how ridiculous would that be seeming? Like, I'm talking about real J-Wes kind of style of R&B that I was actually into at that time. And also alongside with Usher, Shaggy, Craig David, and also Janet Jackson, Puff Daddy and Destiny's Child. That's the kind of music I was listening to at that time. Well, alongside the fact that I was even into techno and a bit of real hip hop that I wasn't listening to much in the last 2 weeks in the start of July 2001. So like, that's what that was actually me back then. And now to get the story started, as this happened on the 13th of July 2001 when I was home alone, and my brother's already moved up to Queensland a while back at that time, and my mum and my sister was actually just out of town, and my dad was on a business trip over in the USA in Texas. And also my best mates that I had at the time, the ones that I used to go to high school with, Nathan, he was actually on a tropical holiday on an Indonesian island called Bali. So like I had nothing to do that Friday evening. Since I actually really worked hard and everything like that. So like this is pretty much in relation to what I did back in episode 97. Just in this video when I did explain the blackwood allergy. At that time I was on medication to just keep my skin as fresh as that. So like I was on cortisone tablets, like had a nice skin, didn't know I was allergic to the timbers at that factory at the time. And you've got to see this episode to know what I'm talking about here. So anyway, to get to the point of the story here, so like I'm talking about a nightclub I'm going to be calling this nightclub R&B Friday. And at that time, like, I had lacked a lot of common sense. I didn't have much social cues, especially dealing with nightclubs, and understanding that I cannot be going out these places by myself, like if I'm out to see any movies. And with nightclubs, like, they're very dangerous places if you're gonna go out there by yourself. So like, I just didn't really think like this at the time too. Like, I just used to always think about music, like how I used to want to go and dance, since it was good for my stimming, as I've explained back in episode 37, Autism and Stimming. Like, just have a bit of a dance in a club and being attracted to all these coloured lights and everything like that. So like, since this is a Friday night, so like, I was heading to one of Melbourne's most dangerous nightclub vicinity, and the name of this street is King Street. And for those who don't know King Street in Melbourne, and we can actually tell you how King Street looked like, especially back in 2001. Just imagine any night spots that will have brightly coloured neon lights lining up the whole street. So you probably look down the street, you'll see all these brightly coloured neon lights, and pretty much just on one side of the street, and you've got your regular nightclubs where you have all your dance music, and you even have your R&B rhythm and blues nightclubs, and also there are erotic dancer nightclubs, which I'm talking about strippers, where you have your female strippers doing their pole dances, those kind of erotic nightclubs. So like, they've kept it all in the one area in that vicinity. That's what King Street is in Melbourne, especially looking back in the early 2000s. And it had a very bad reputation for people to go looking for fights, and it's probably one of the most violent nightclub vicinity anywhere, because like, there had been a lot of stabbings and a lot of kidnappings, and plus the best place to actually really sell drugs. So like, just to paint a picture to know how dangerous that King Street place is, and considering that with R&B Friday nightclubs, they're supposed to be the most dangerous establishments to even attend to. So like, I did still insist going out that night and coming to this establishment alone, since like, me being a 41-year-old now with more common sense that I've never had when I was 21 years old, but I could view this that it wasn't clubbing at all. The way I think about this is, like, this was more like elopement, as I've explained back in episode 60. That's what it was, because like, I didn't have any friends. I mean, I didn't have mates that were into all that commercial American R&B at all, and didn't know the hip hop scene like Hilltop Hoods and Bliss and SO. I've never heard of them at a time. And so like, this R&B Friday nightclub had been located on such a very dangerous street like King Street. So like, I've never came to King Street for the strippers. That's the only regular nightclub that I knew, since I was too much in the mood for that R&B, since I've been listening to too much of that stuff pretty much all week. So like, since I did make it to my destination, and I know I have been to this club before by myself for the first time, which was in January 2001, and I did certainly have a good night there, and I came back there the second time back in April 2001, exactly the same story, and I'm talking about the third time. And one thing I've actually first noticed was they were playing the same music since I got there early in the night, which the most silliest and the most dumbest and the most stupidest thing I ever did is, like, if you ever seen MTV and you look back on most of the commercial R&B videos, how you got all these R&B singers wearing sports clothes. Like, imagine them wearing these jerseys with the big numbers and wearing real baggy jeans or baggy pants, whatever it is, and how they always got that massive bling bling. So I came in pretty much dressed like that, which actually wasn't any good getting to that kind of dangerous environment. So like I'll sit back down in a couch and yeah, just a night sort of proceeded as normal and everything like that. Oh yeah, just the same music from what I heard back in January and April in that year. So since this was early in the night, so I decided that I needed to go to the loo. And while I was in the loo just doing the thing, there's already another person in there when I got out that cubicle. And as it happens, that person then cornered me into the toilet. So like I was just kind of almost pushing the corner. So like he'll be standing pretty much at the exit to the toilet and I'll be standing over there. And what really happened was he started questioning me about a bling bling that I was actually wearing. And he started talking really tough, staunch and coldly at me at the same time, spitting at my direction. And I can remember there was an exit to a toilet and just him being on the other side, he just sort of like turns on the basin, and I'm trying to remember if he actually drank from it because he would have made himself thirsty after spinning my direction. And so like he's over there, next thing another individual just goes bursting the door open and they all just stand there. I'm just standing pretty much near the toilet while these two people are standing near the basin. And they started talking about my bling bling, that other person who actually just barged through the door. And the next thing that really shocked me, because like I was sitting there scared, petrified, and I could just see something coming, wishing that I've actually never insisted on going out, and had the wrong idea that I thought it was going to be just like what happened in January and April when I went to this R&B nightclub. And the person who burst in the door actually asked me for a bling bling. Oh, would you mind if I could please have that? So like, no worries, I gave him the bling bling. And next thing he asked me for is my cell phone or mobile phone. Unfortunately, I did not own any cell phones or mobile phones at that time. And even smartphones were never invented or thought of at the time. So like, it meant that he was demanding me for my wallet. So like I did have a cell phone and I was pretty much looking there, and before you know it, it felt like I was actually being swooped by a magpie in a toilet. And I could describe that I kind of blacked out and heard a thump in between my ear at the same time. And as I opened my eyes and seeing double vision, and I can hear this ring in between my ears, and just a few seconds, it was again the second time that as I was hit, I would have actually kind of blacked out just to sort of like do that, and then I was hit there, just like the feeling from my experience when I was being swooped by a magpie. And after hearing the thump in between my ears, and I was hearing the loud ring that slowly receded, and there was a third time, 3 times in a row. So like should I have given him my wallet? Because he did ask for my phone, because I didn't own that phone at the time, and he hit me anyway. So like, I did kind of try and hit back, but these guys just social distance themselves, like say 1.5 meters away from me, and the door to the exit to the toilet had to be there. So like, I've actually managed to escape since I've just got myself beat up in the toilet. I was running across the disco room to the bar, panicking that I'd just been attacked in the toilet. And I went up to a crowd controller, crowd controller or bouncer as I should say, panicking, yeah, I've been attacked. That's like if I'm having an autistic meltdown. And before you know it, there was a head security then said, oh, what happened? What happened? What happened? Oh, just got attacked in the toilets. And there was the two men who attacked me in the toilets, were already queuing up to grab their jackets. And before you know it, since more and more people were coming in at a time, the women in charge of the cloakroom were actually too busy trying to deal with other patrons that are coming in. So the head manager and the head bouncer managed to bring these two individuals in the toilet, and I made the call to have these two men arrested. So I'll come to a point that now the two men were actually arrested and taken away in a police car, and I was at a police station giving the statement what happened. So that got all filed into court after being attacked. So oh yes, this is one of my horrible experiences I ever had going out to one of these nightclubs. So I've been told I can go back there, and even a manager in the end offered me free drinks all night to compensate what really happened, and that the management did know I was autistic and everything like that, and just didn't really and they did understand the extent of the whole situation, me being at nightclub. I just went home, and what I did was I tried to sleep the whole thing off, just trying to pretend this is just some sort of crazy dream. But nah, I'm sorry, that was all real. So I woke up early in the morning, about 6 o'clock in the morning, on a big freak out after that night being attacked in a nightclub. So I couldn't shake it off. I did get the people arrested, and it was all filed in. They were going to appear in court on the 2nd of September 2002. And I did promise my parents that I was never going to go out night clubbing alone, which I insisted doing since they were pretty much away elsewhere. As I said before, that my dad was overseas on a business trip in Texas, USA, and while my mum and my sister was just road tripping out of town a bit too. So in the morning I did receive a phone call from my dad. I told my dad the truth what happened, and what I did was I lied to my dad that my friend from high school, Nathan, was actually with me that night. And as for Nathan, considering he was in Bali, and also even Nathan hates that commercial American R&B. And all my friends from high school hate that kind of music. Well, when I was at the time just trying to get into hip hop at the time, I just got myself just sucked into it, considering that my friends thought that I was just gonna stick with Run DMC and the Beastie Boys, but nah, just listen to all this American R&B pop. And my father just was very disappointed and extremely angry for my immaturity of actually going out at night and not understanding how dangerous King Street was, since I lacked common sense. And what my father wanted to do was to adult me, first off, if there's any nightclub opportunities, if I receive any social invitations to go clubbing, I aim to say no, no matter what. So doesn't matter how depressing it gets, the answer was to be no. And for my mum, and that had made my mum cry after being attacked out on King Street. And what I actually did, instead of going out to nightclubs, I actually started attending to karate classes and took up martial arts as a distraction. Just to distract myself from the post-traumatic stress disorder that I've caused to myself. I continued my karate training up until 2003, 2004, when the Australian hip hop scene took over. And this is just one of my personal dark stories of me getting beat up, and it's actually very hostile. Since that, I didn't feel that I was ever really put off going out night, considering that instead of me having the post-traumatic stress disorder, it was actually both my mum and my dad had the post-traumatic stress disorder as well, too. So like, that was absolutely hectic, getting caught up in this heat of night. Just as it happens, like 18 months after that incident, that's when I started getting involved with rapping, getting involved with MC battles, and getting involved with the Australian hip hop scene. And pretty much from 2003 up till 2016, I used to be an every show person, and not once anything like this had ever happened to me while going out to my hip hop gigs, but it did at the R&B Friday. Considering that R&B is a complete different music from hip hop, unless if you consider R&B, the commercial R&B, and hip hop to be the same if you're over 55. Well, no, that's just the way I see it. Anyway, yeah, before I wrap this up though, yeah, I could just lucky to be alive to actually tell this story, because like the worst circumstances could have been these guys could have had a knife, and I could have even got stabbed, just to sort of rewrite history. But I was lucky just to get just 3 punches in the face and get a black eye, which is actually enough to feel that I had been beaten up when I was 21 years old on the 13th of July 2001. Yeah, it's just one of these young and dumb things. Like, what I was like, it's really though, I'm an adult, but not an adult. That's the way I remember myself being. And just having a bit of hyperactivity. So like, after that attack at that nightclub, I was just never the same. So anyway, like, my throat's just getting a bit husky and everything like that, just the way I just wanted to actually really tell the whole story about what actually had happened. And like, after how my father didn't want me going out to nightclubs, I just can't believe that I still went out to every hip hop shows that came my way, and did things like twice open up for Bliss and SO, and did shows with 360 and Step Century before. So like, anyway, so after this nightclubbing experience, so what was it really worth? After, when I was filming this video content on the 8th of July 2021, I only had 553 subscribers, and now, if this video content by chance gains me anything above 200 subscribers, or even over 1,000 subscribers overnight, due to the fact that if this video went viral, to me, it still would be worth taking such a high risk clubbing alone at such a very dangerous street in Melbourne. We're talking about streets like King Street. Well, anyway, once again, like, I could have died that night the way I was actually clubbing, and how much attention that I brought towards myself after trying to look like a commercial R&B singer that night. Getting that many subscribers. If you can please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Aspie Attitude. And also, please feel free to share my dark story about how I got beat up at that nightclub. And if I find any video dislikes on this one, I can understand that it will only reflect on my stupidity, how I actually went out to such a dangerous nightclub by myself and got myself beat up. So like, I'm just trying not to be funny. Like, I just wanted to keep the video serious, since this is a very hostile, not just to myself, to my mum as well too. So like, my mum's probably still upset from this day, but I did admit to my mistakes. So like, you can always leave a comment down below if you have a similar experience, particularly autism and night clubbing that I'm talking about here. And I've just told this as when I was beat up, just to make it a bit of an eye-catchy thing. And like, that happened on the 13th of July 2001. So I thought 20 years later, yeah, just upload this video. So that's exactly 20 years ago then. So the only thing that will only get silly in this video is just doing my classic fidget spin nose trick. And I hope you enjoyed my story, and I hope you really listen carefully, like how dangerous nightclubs can be. Anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. See you next time on Aspie with Attitude. Peace and respect.